Hi guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer. So I wanted to go live tonight because I discovered this breathing technique, and I will link the video to that video in the description box below because I feel like this breathing technique has really helped me, and I'm I have I'm Gemini rising, so my mind is like full of chatter and I'm all over the place all the time. So I feel like if it could help me, it can help other people. So the point for this breathing technique is it helps you to get a handle on quieting the mind so much that when you go to visualize what it is you're trying to call into your life, your mind is clear enough where you can get the picture. So let me explain. I listen to all these videos on YouTube. Sometimes I will plug them into my Bluetooth and listen to them while I'm driving. And I'll have the video on, and then I'll get to my destination and I'm like, I have no idea what this guy just said. Because even though it was playing, in my head, I have to go to the bank, I'm hungry, I wonder if that check cleared yet, what time is it, what am I having for dinner, did I walk the dog? Like it's my mind is not listening to what's going on the video. So I am trying very hard to learn how to clear my mind enough so that I can focus on something long enough to call it into my life. So what's great about learning a breathing technique? You can do it anywhere. Like you can do it in the car, you can do it at your desk, you can do it anywhere. So this is the breathing technique, and You Are Creators, I believe, is the name of the YouTube channel, and they have great, great, great videos. So this is what you do. You inhale for 4, hold it for 8, exhale for 8, hold it empty for 4, inhale for 4, hold it for 8, exhale for 8, hold it empty for 4, inhale for 4, hold it for 8, exhale for 8, hold it for 4. So that's basically it. You can do it for as long as you like. I found I only needed to do it for a couple of rounds, and then I started to feel that my mind was clear enough where I could really focus in on the images that I wanted to visualize. So with the visualization process, you want to try to incorporate your 5 senses. So say, for example, you want a new car. Take notice first of yourself walking into the dealership. Take notice of the salesperson. Maybe take notice of what the salesperson is wearing. What's his name or her name? Take notice of how it smells. Maybe there's a lavender diffuser in the office. Maybe it smells like coffee. Take notice of all these things, the sense of smell, which I feel like the sense of smell could be a little bit harder to challenge, but you can challenge it, channel it. Just focus. You know what the smell of coffee is, and take a big deep breath in and smell the coffee. And then see yourself walking in over to the car. Take notice of the doorknob, like what kind of door handle it has. Open up the door, get in the car, smell the new interior. Big deep breath in. Now, is the interior leather? Is it, like, I think my car's got that fake leather. I don't even know what's in my car. I think it's fake leather. Take notice of how it smells. Take notice of the dashboard. Is it digital Is it dials? Like I have a Volkswagen, and this Volkswagen is kind of like old school looking. Like it looks like it's from the 60s. Take notice of if it's an automatic or a manual. Take notice of maybe the emblem of the car. All these little details will help. And once you get your mind clear enough where you could start to see these things, and then you will find that your mind is not wandering off to the bank and to the grocery store and all that other stuff. So it gets much easier once you do that breath. Now, once you start to practice that breath, it will become second nature to you. But for the first couple of times, you may have to work with it. Like I count down my fingers. And we did it today at the end of all my classes, and I had 3 classes today. And I love it when I come out of a class and somebody asks me to go over it one more time, because I know that they found it helpful and that they're going to continue to do it. So I will link the video so that you can see all the other details in that guy's video below. But if you're one of these people that you find like, oh, I read a book on this or I watched a video on this, but you didn't retain any of it because you weren't really listening to it, maybe your mind was in 70 different places, I think that this breathing technique will help. It's also going to calm the mind, calm anxiety, just breathing in general. When I first started taking yoga years ago, and we did breathing exercises, I used to get so upset because I used to think, oh, I don't know if I held it long enough. And there's all kinds of breathing, like there's alternate nostril breathing, where you close one off, inhale, close it, hold it, and let it out the other way. And like I would be sitting there thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I held it long enough. I don't know if I'm doing this right. I'm not going to get the benefits. Basically, breathe. Because you might not realize how there are times throughout your day where you stop breathing. Maybe in traffic, or someone cuts you off. Someone cuts me off. I grab the steering wheel and I'm like, "Urgh." Stop breathing. I was taking yoga years ago and we were in an inversion and my face got real red, and the teacher came over and said, Danny, you're not breathing, your face is red. And she was right. I was like, oh, you know what, I'm not breathing. I don't breathe a lot. So learning to breathe sometimes is more than half the battle. So another topic when it comes to the law of attraction that I have been struggling with, you know, I like to be really honest, I struggle with this stuff. So instead of trying to convince yourself of something that maybe you're just not ready to totally buy into, even though I don't know why we don't believe it when we've seen ourselves manifest some really shitty things and some real shit shows. I mean, there have been times where I have said something so horrible that was going to happen and it happened. So if I can do it for something that horrible, I can do it for great things. It's just that I think it's a self-protective survival mode when we start to go into the, you know, this, and this is going to happen. It's like you're preparing yourself for the worst. Like, here's an example. I had a crazy Weimaraner. Loved her to death, but she was crazy. And I used to teach like a 6 a.m. class on Wednesday mornings. So one Wednesday morning I got up and I went to take a shower. While I was in the shower, the dog got a hold of my phone, and it was this BlackBerry. Wait, I got it right here. Because you can see that bottom piece here is missing. She took it off. So she bit down on the M, right? And at 5 o'clock in the morning, it called my friend Mark. So Mark sees me calling at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm not there because the dog's got the phone, right? This is what goes on in this house. And he calls me back. Now I see a missed call from Mark when I'm at the studio, and I call him back. And he's like, what did you call me for? And I'm like, I called you because you called me. He's like, but you called me before that. So right away, we don't even know what we're talking about here. Who called who? The point is that when I saw him call me at 5 o'clock in the morning, I immediately thought somebody was dead, something terrible happened, and he thought the same thing. He called me back because he's like, when I saw you call me at 5 o'clock in the morning, I assumed that there was some kind of crisis. Like, why do our minds always go there when really it was just my crazy dog picked up the phone, carried it into the living room, hit the M, and it called Mark? But the point is that right away we go to a horror story. You know, somebody's dead, somebody's in a ditch, somebody spontaneously combusted. Meanwhile, it was just something that was so silly. But immediately, it's almost like we're protecting ourselves against this bad news, or we're taking in, you know, bracing myself for it when it was something that was so silly. So I think that we're constantly in this kind of survival mode. So instead of thinking, like, why couldn't I have thought, oh, God, Mark probably just won the lotto? Or, oh, maybe Danny just won a trip to, I don't know, Sicily, whatever. But we don't go there. We always go to the worst case scenario. And then when the shitty things happen in our lives, we're like, oh, yeah, well, that could be expected. You know, but we want to try to turn this stuff around. So if you're having a hard time dealing with all this stuff because you're like, I just don't buy it, or I'm having a hard time buying into it, let's take a step back and just think about it in this way. Is it possible? So for example, I was just talking with somebody who's waiting to hear back from somebody. And it's been a long time. It hasn't been that long, but it's been a long time when you're waiting to hear back from somebody about something. So think about it like this. Is it possible that I could hear from this person this week? Yeah, it's possible. Why isn't it possible? Is it possible that I could hear back from this person tomorrow? Is it possible that this person can contact me today? Is it possible? Now, when you think about it being possible, of course it's possible. Stranger things have happened, right? I mean, is it possible that, I love James Bay. His new album just came out yesterday, and I'm like over the moon because I just adore him. But is it possible that I go see him in concert and I bump into him someplace? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, why isn't that possible? I mean, it could be possible that I don't go to see him in concert, but he and I are at a different concert together and I bump into him. I mean, these things are possible. Is it possible for me to get in my car and drive to Mars? That's not possible. So if you start thinking about, we're definitely going to see him. He's coming here in September, and it's definitely happening. I went last time, and I'm like, I just adore him. When you think about what's possible and what's not possible, like, is it possible for me to go take a vacation on the moon? No. So if you compare that, to something that could happen, like, is it possible that, I mean, I've watched videos of people. There is a video that Veronica has on her channel, and you know, I was working with her as she was like my law of attraction coach, and I suggest it because I feel like even if it doesn't help you like immediately, like, it's helped me overall, like listening to these things. And what I love is that she offers email packages, so you can go back and read the emails, and they're affordable. They're like a couple of dollars an email. You could buy packages as well. But I love that because, once again, if you're talking on the phone with her and you're like me at the bank, at the beach, you know, bouncing your checkbook, then at least you can go back and reread the email. She's got a video on her channel on how her and her friend manifested running into Channing Tatum. Is that his name? I think that's his name. And the story is fascinating. And she had another one that I thought was even more fascinating about meeting the lead singer of some band that she really liked. And it was just about how she believed that she was going to bump into this person, and it didn't even matter the circumstances that were getting in her way, because she was just like, well, maybe this had to happen so that it would put me in the right place. And that's exactly what happened. So I think that sometimes we really get caught up in the, you know, how is it going to happen? Or, you know, how could I possibly run into James Bay when he lives in England? Oh, I love English. Oh my God, I love him. How could I run into him when he's in England and I'm here? Well, you know what? Stranger things have happened. And that's it. You know, then you have that attitude, stranger things have happened, and you kind of put it out into the universe, and then these things happen. These things, I mean, it happens. It happened for Veronica. It can happen for anyone. But I think that it's that we don't believe that it's possible. Like, do you really believe that I could right now get in my car, go to the grocery store, and run into Mr. James. No, I don't believe that. But that's the thing. I have a problem with believing in it. So just when you don't believe in something, just think about something that really is impossible, like teaching your dog to talk, or going to the moon, um, something like that. Think about something that's really impossible, and then you're like, well, you know what? Next to me trying to take a vacation on the moon, maybe it is possible that this person contacts me today. Wouldn't it be nice if this person contacted me right now so that I could get my answer that I'm waiting for, or whatever the situation is? And this is true with anything. The worst thing, and that's why we have this, a watched pot never boils, because we're all waiting for something, and then it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen when we want it to. It always happens once we've distracted ourselves and we're into something else. You know, you're in the middle of, you're waiting to hear back from a job, and then you go to a concert and all of a sudden your phone's blowing up. It happens all the time. So when you're starting to feel like some situation might be impossible or it will just never happen, think about something that's really impossible, just to kind of put things in perspective. Oh, well, of course it's possible that I hear back from this person today. Why not? Why? If it can happen today, it can happen any day. If it happened once, it can happen again. I mean, these things, it's such a big deal when we're waiting for the thing to happen, or for the manifestation of it, or the job, or whatever it is. But in reality, when you look back on it, it's like, well, I had to wait 6 weeks. 6 weeks isn't that long, but when you live it, it's like 6 years. And I know, trust me, because I've been there. I've been there more times than I care to admit. But we want to stop putting out that kind of, it's never going to happen, it's never going to happen, and start changing it to, it could happen right now, why can't it? Because that's the truth. It can happen right now, why can't it? So, trying to change that a little bit. I think the breathing thing is phenomenal. I'm going to put a link in the description box to that video, and then you can check out all their other videos. They have so many, and they're really very helpful, I think. What else? Oh, for me, I've always been the kind of person where writing, maybe because it forces me to concentrate, writing I find to be very helpful. So if you have a goal or something that you're trying to bring into your life, get yourself a journal and just write it. We learned these things like in school when we were kids. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. But then we grow up and we forget. You want to program yourself something, and program it positive. The teachers should have made us write, I will be quiet in class, rather than I will not talk. So instead of writing the negative, flip it over to the positive always, as often as you can, which may take some work, but that's okay. So you work on it. Oh, and then I wanted to go back to the Uranus thing. We just had, it's a big mover. Uranus change signs. It's going to be it will affect everybody in a different way, but with Uranus moving into Taurus, which is an earth sign, it's going to be trining the other two earth signs. So it will be on Taurus's sun if you're a Taurus, but it will be trining Capricorn, and it will also be trining Virgo. So now the trine is an easier aspect. Trines tend to be easier. Squares tend to be harder. Oppositions, I feel like they can go either way. And somebody was once arguing with me about this, that oppositions is, it's a hard aspect and that it's a negative aspect. And I don't believe that, because I think that sometimes opposites attract, and sometimes it could give enough, I don't want to say static, but like it gives enough like fuel and fire, so there's passion there. Like say Pisces and Virgo are opposite signs, but that could be a very passionate combination, especially if the Pisces person is with somebody who's got a Virgo moon, because the sun moon opposition is a strong, and it's not fight, but it's like passion. So I think that oppositions can go either way. It depends on the situation, and it depends on the people. But there is definitely, times are changing, things are changing with Uranus moving into Taurus, and that just happened on the 15th. It's going to retrograde back into Aries at some point. I don't remember the dates off the top of my head, but basically, this is a big mover, and it's going to change the landscape for a lot of people. It's a great thing for Pisces and Virgo because it's moving out of our second house and it's moving out of the eighth house for Virgo. So it's going to alleviate some financial crap that's been going on. But it's going to change everything. Things are going to be changing. It's kind of the ushering in of a new generation. Children that are born now will be known as the children that are born in the Uranus and Taurus generation as opposed to the Uranus and Aries generation. So I think that this is going to shake things up a bit and change things too. And then we were also talking about, I was talking with one of my friends about astrology and how sometimes things just don't happen that are kind of like predicted in the chart. Like there are, you have a really great aspect and then something is just not happening for you. So that's when I try to bring it back to the law of attraction. Am I blocking it? Jupiter is trining my sun, and it is because Jupiter is in Scorpio, so that should be doing something really great for Pisces and Cancer, not just Scorpio, because it's trining. So it's a pleasant aspect. So if you're feeling like you're not getting the gifts that you should be getting from this Jupiter aspect, just to think about whether or not you're sending out any kind of negativity or not believing or being skeptical, and see if you can kind of change it. Just catching your thoughts. So I was thinking this too. This is so funny. If you feel like somebody is, being negative or getting in your way, or it's just somebody that you're just trying, you don't want to give them any of your headspace. I don't know why this comes to mind. I picture the person in a puddle on the floor, like the Wicked Witch of the West. Like, how when she melts, and I'm just like, I just see like the person's like saying something really negative to me, I just see that puddle. And then negative comments, I just see them go down the toilet. So if those visualizations are helpful for you, feel free to use them. Anybody that you don't want to take up space in your head, they melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. Negative thoughts, comments, and feelings, you see them circling the toilet and going down. Okay, I hope that helps. I know. Because there's so much more negativity. I mean, we wake up in the morning by an alarm clock. There is not really much more jarring and negative and nasty than a blasting alarm clock at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that happens to me at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. So when you start your day like that, it's kind of hard to it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And you're like, oh, I'm positive. Oh, it's going to be a great day. Meanwhile, I can't get my eyes open, and it's a struggle to get to the kitchen to get the coffee. So you want to try to change these things. I know it's craziness. So you just take notice of these things and take notice of people around you, like these people that are super negative. What's going on in their life? What's going on? The people that are a little bit more positive, what's happening for them? I mean, look, sometimes we bamboozle ourselves and we don't even realize it because we have such deep subconscious thoughts. Like I went for this. This is a little crazy even for me. But a woman that worked at the rock shop that I always go to that I really like, she did these, and it was affordable. It was like a 3-hour long thing. And I think I maybe paid her $60 or something like that. It was called rebirthing, which I have a hard time believing in rebirthing or past life regression, because how do I know I'm not just making it up in my head as I go? Like, I went for past life regression once, and whenever I got to wherever I was supposed to be, I saw myself dressed like a barmaid in the Midwest, with the doors, the saloon doors, and I was like behind the bar and like this bustier with like this big crazy curly hair, and I was like, oh, I was a barmaid. But I don't know, is that really true? Did I really live a life as a barmaid? I don't know. And there was a piano player there, I know, but I don't know if that's true or if this is just something that I made up. Who the hell knows? But anyway, so I went for this rebirthing thing. And when she will bring you back like 5 years, 10 years, and then she takes you back to your birth. And when she asks you about your birth and what you know about it, what I knew about my birth is that I had a really tough birth. And that my mom had been in labor with me for like 28 hours, and I was in a really bad position, and they didn't think that I was going to make it. And my father had said to the doctor, if it comes down to it, let the baby go, because obviously didn't want his wife to die. So the woman said to me, you came into this life second best. You came into this life second choice. So you were always second choice. And that's why you're always second choice now, because that's where you feel comfortable, because that's how you've lived. And it's true, if you look back on different things that I remember, I told you the story about Peanut and how Peanut took the spotlight and sang the solo at the, Peanut was better. And then when we moved into a house, my mother wanted to know what color she wanted my bedroom. My options were pink and green or yellow and green. My grandmother wanted yellow and green. My mother wanted pink and green. I wanted my room to be blue. Obviously, look, everything's blue. But that wasn't an option. Instead of saying anything, I figured I'll just say pink and green because that's what my mom wants, and it's more important for me to make her happy because I have to live with her. My grandmother will get over it. I guess that's what I was thinking. I don't know, but I remember thinking at the time, okay, pink and green because that's what mommy wants. And I was like 5 years old when we moved into that house. So I grew up always not having a choice, or letting the other person have what they wanted, and not even, like, I never even thought, well, I want my room to be blue, or I want my room to be purple, or I don't want pink, like it was just do what somebody else wants of you. And as I got older, I had a friend who, she used to say to me, she goes, it's really annoying that you don't have an opinion. Like if she would say to me, we're going to go out to dinner. Do you want Mexican or you want Italian? I'd be like, oh, I don't care. And she'd be like, well, how come you don't ever care? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care. Whatever you want. It doesn't matter to me. And I really felt like that. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, if you said, do you want to go to a steakhouse? I would say no because I'm a vegetarian. But that's not even true, because I would find something like a salad or something and just eat that. I would never put up an argument because I grew up with such a belief that everybody else's wants and needs were much more important than mine, that I carried this through life. So now, X amount of years later, you expect me to change it? It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. You have to catch yourself. Sometimes I have to say to myself, and this is so funny, like, I'll be thinking of, he's like, oh, if so-and-so asks me to do this, oh, I'm going to have to go. And then I would think to myself, wait a minute. What does Danny want to do? What does Danny want to do? Does Danny want to do that? Nope, Danny wants to take a nap. So really stop yourself for a second and think, who is most important? You are. Most important. And it may come off as selfish. Like to me, I always put everyone else before me. So the second that I'm like sticking up for myself or saying something, I feel like I've done something wrong, or I feel like I've done something selfish, because I'm just not used to doing that. I'm used to taking the back seat. Don't make a big deal. In the scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal, but in the scheme of things, you're in the back seat all the time, or you're in the cargo part of the plane because you don't care, and everyone else is in first class having mimosas and you're with the cattle. So just try to, put things in perspective. Is it possible? Is it impossible? Yeah, I know. You really have to think about it, because if you're putting yourself second best, then the universe is also putting you second best. Okay, you think Peanut is better than you? Well, then that's okay. Peanut's better than you. Because this is what they say, the universe doesn't hear negative. So if you're like, I'm not that good, or I'm not the best, and the universe is like, oh, you're not the best. He's the best. She's the best. Oh, Grover can do it better than you. Yeah, he's a Muppet, but he can do it better than you. This is just what this is what happens. And, you know, you listen to these things, and I'm watching law of attraction video after law of attraction video, and these people cannot all be wrong. It's working for all of them, and it's working for me, but it's always worked for me backwards. It's worked for me backwards because that's what I believed, you know. I could predict something catastrophic was going to happen, and it would happen. But, you know, get myself a raise, a new car, a new house, a vacation, that, you know, that ain't never going to happen. How many people have heard me say, well, I'll probably never go on vacation again? I've said that I don't know how many times, and I haven't been on vacation. I think it was 2013 I went to Cancun. So, I mean, I went to Florida to see my dad for his birthday, but I think it was 2 days. Maybe it was 2.5 days, but that was it for my vacation. So, you know, you really have to think about what it is you're putting out into the universe, and if it's coming back to you. Not just, well, the good things aren't coming to me, but are the bad things you're predicting happening? Because we don't want that to happen either. All right, guys, if you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Drawer, don't forget to like and subscribe and share us with your friends. And I'm going to go now because I think that the camera is going to die. All right, leave the comments below, and I'm going to link that video so you guys can check it out because that guy explains it really well, you know, the breathing thing. Okay, we will see you soon. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.